Hey Faithful Focus family, thank you again so much for joining me. If it's your first time, make some noise. You already know what time it is. Today we're going to be starting a new series. I am not reinventing the wheel. This is not nothing new, but we will be starting a new series of Motivational Mondays. And then on Wednesdays, we will continue to do the midweek check-in. So today we're going to be talking about acts of obedience. That's right. Acts of obedience. So God is always speaking to us. That's one thing that I pray about pretty often. I keep putting in my prayer book that I'm going to start getting up at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. to just talk to God so that I can hear his voice. It hasn't happened yet, just in case you were wondering. I have noticed that since I have been waiting and depriving my flesh, I have been able to hear God's voice more clearly. I pray for discernment pretty often, and part of me praying for discernment is being able to distinguish when I'm hearing God's voice versus the devil's voice, because he will try to talk to you. Please believe me, I know. Oftentimes when I talk to other people, and even when I talk to myself and just sit down and just really take inventory on what my prayers have been, what my thoughts have been, I find myself trying to figure out if the voices that I'm hearing, not the crazy voices in your head like Sam, Jack, Jim, Bob, none of those voices, but I have had to ask myself if I am clearly hearing God's voice or if I'm hearing the devil's voice. And I know for a lot of people, they do seem to get confused on what voice they are hearing, especially as they are growing in their journey. Because as you grow in the journey, you piss the devil off more and more. Apologize for saying piss, but y'all know what I mean. But you do. He does not like to see you grow in your journey. So what does he do? He starts to talk to you. He starts to send things your way that you are praying for. Because again, Lucifer was an angel, so he knows exactly what God is going to do. He knows how to pray. So guess what he'll do? He'll send people in your life that can pray for you, that can pray over you. And that's why it's very, very, very important that you do not allow everybody to pray for you or over you, because you don't always know what they're praying for. So just, little tip, just keep that in mind. One act of obedience is taking the leap of faith. Just remember that if it does not have any risk, if you can do it on your own, if you don't have to pray for it, if you don't have to ask God's permission for it, it doesn't require faith. And if it doesn't require faith, then normally that's not a sign of you being obedient. Another act of obedience is when you hear God's voice, obey him. God gives us a short window of time to be obedient to what he's telling us or asking us to do. And that's up to you to discern if you're going to do it or if not. What I noticed is I was doing the right thing at the wrong time, which is just as bad as not doing it in the first place. Because again, God's timing is perfect. You don't need to get the okay of your mom, your dad, your sister, your cousin, your brother. Because guess what? They can't hear what God is telling you to do. So when you hear his voice, be obedient, because when you don't act in his perfect timing, that's just as bad as not doing what he asked you to do in the first place. The last act of being obedient that we're going to discuss today is stop putting your future plans above God's future plans, because his future plans are much greater than anything that you can imagine. And I think of some off the wall type, big dreaming, big Willie style type stuff. So if his plans are way bigger than that, I'm up for it. I am totally here for it. You don't have to tell me no more than one time. Sometimes I think of the blessings that God has bestowed upon me and how much bigger they were than my little teeny weeny little baby idea of what I thought greatness was. Because guess what? He's the maker of all. He can make anything happen. This is the person that moves mountains. So for the next 40 days, I want you to ask God, what does he want you to move in? For some of us, it might be just as simple as hearing his voice. For some of us, it might be forgiveness. That's a big one. That was, I had to forgive a few people when I wasn't ready, but he told me to move, and he's still working with me, y'all, okay? But for some of us, that might be as simple as just loving on somebody that we know needs it, but we just feel like we don't have time to entertain them. So leave a comment down below. Let me know that as of today, what God is telling you to do and what actions you're going to take in the next 40 days to make sure that you are being obedient to his word. That's it and that's all, folks. I'll see you in the next video.